Hi guys, as your written exams are fast approaching, I thought I'd take some time, or rather take this opportunity, and through this video, I'll give you a few pointers that you need to keep in mind, especially with your last minute preparations and also on the day of your exam. So, in this video, I'm going to mention a couple of things. So the first would be what do you study and how do you prepare in the last few days just before your exam. And the next thing that I would be focusing on is what you need to uh, be ready for or look out for on the day of the exam, how you should be ready before the exam. Then the general stuff regarding how to handle stress and stuff like that, but that is very subjective. It differ, for different people different things work. So yeah, so I'll just cover a couple of general things that might help you. So the most important thing would be, hopefully you guys have been making notes, because you won't have time to go through all of these textbooks and all these all these different kind of question papers, past papers, everything that you've gone through in the past. You wouldn't have time to go through all of that again just before the exam. And as you know, the human memory, it's very, everything is very volatile, so you might end up forgetting to go through a couple of important things that you had planned to go through just before the exam, or you might even forget the important points and stuff. So the best thing is, if you haven't done anything yet, so make sure you do make notes, and just the important points, whatever you think that you might need to revise just before you sit for the exam. Mainly tables, and I think values, numerical values, these things are something that you will have to go through, because no matter how many times you go through, you will tend to forget. So these particular things, make sure you have made your pointers and make sure you have made your notes, so you can go through it just before the exam. For example, you have a couple of things, like you have your fluoride tables, and then you have your Logan Cronfield, the chronological eruption date tables. Then you also have the different tables related to anatomy of the teeth, as well as you have the different dosages of anesthetics. And then if you come to your therapeutic guidelines, you have a lot of the medications that they're talking about, and the different dosages, and the different adverse effects, side effects, things of the drugs that you can't, and you can't afford to forget. So make sure all these things you have it in terms of like highlighted notes, or make these notes very interesting to read. Like, don't scribble through that, you might not feel like going through it again, or you might not even understand what you've written, but make it interesting, use colors, and these stuff will help you to remember. And yeah, even your MCQ books, like if you take your Cossins, Bouchers, they are very, what to say, they are basically, these books are all old prints that you're going through, so they're all very crammed up, and you might not feel like going through the whole book again. So make sure you've already made your notes of the important points that you think you will not remember. Like, most of the points that once you read through, you might remember, and things that you already know. But the things that you're reading for the first time, and things that you would have never thought, okay, this was the answer, those are the kind of MCQs that you should have already noted down, and that will be helpful. And also books like Dex, which are so vast, if you had started off with dental Dex, then it would have been good if you had already made your notes. And then whatever textbooks you decide to read, like there are some textbooks which you cannot you cannot afford to miss, like some of the notes from Walton, and some of the notes from Abbott, because they're all questions from these books are repeatedly asked. And then you have books like Cameron, which is very useful. And then you have questions from pediatric dentistry, and then pediatric orthodontic aspects as well from Cameron, and then McDonald. So yeah, you have so many books, and you have important points that are there in all these books, which you would not you would not come across if you just stuck to your last few, just past papers and stuff like that. And of course, you need to go through the past papers, and your clinical scenario questions, and all these things are helpful, because it gives you a guidance, but it's not going to give you the knowledge and the foundation that you actually need to sit for the exam. And also you have important journals like the British Dental Journals for prosto for FPDs, and then you have these journals for all the subjects, but mainly FPDs. BDJ covers a lot of important points from FPD. So yeah, I'm not going into all those things what you should have read, but hopefully you've made, what I'm coming to say is you've made your notes, that you cannot, all these things are vast, very vast material which you can't go through again. But if you have made your notes, so you can just go through those notes in the last minute, the tables in the last minute, and that will be a very good revision. You can do that for the last couple of days. That's what I was coming to. You can revise that in those last couple of days, and that will be useful. And make sure you're not cramming up all the details in the last minute, because you will not be able to retain it. And also make sure that you're taking enough time to de-stress, otherwise you're just going to be very stressed out. Yeah. Coming to the next point is, make sure you at least attempt one mock exam. And these mock exams, you can prepare it yourself by just looking through their syllabus. They have given you their syllabus in their handbooks, and this handbook has all the different subjects that each paper covers, and try and divide the equal number of questions between all these different subjects. And from the past couple of from the people who have given the exam earlier, you have some kind of knowledge, like what kind of questions are asked, whether it's scenario based questions, whether it's the clinical questions. So based on that, divide the questions between the multiple choice and the scenario based questions between these subjects equally, and that way make sure you've covered all the subjects in these 4 papers. So do make a paper for yourself, and try and attempt a mock exam just before you give the exam, because these mock exams are helpful. The mock exams that we provide have been helpful for the past candidates, and they also how we try to help them is, we try to take questions from all the possible subjects that I mentioned in the syllabus, and also we give them equal distribution with the MCQs and the scenario based questions, because we know what kind of questions have been asked in the past. Now these questions and this pattern do vary. Like when we gave the new exam in the new pattern, it was a pattern which is very different from how the questions are being made now. But it has a similar pattern. But then there are a lot of changes. There are a lot of variations now to it. For example, even in the number of questions, earlier the first few papers had more number of scenario based questions, and the paper 4 and the papers towards the end, they have lesser scenario based questions. But now there's no such thing. I think they ask enough and more number of scenario based questions. So yeah, for that you should have already, hopefully you guys have made sure that your knowledge and your clinical knowledge is really strong, so you can combat any such questions. So yeah, so basically the mock exams are a very good idea. Try giving a mock exam, at least attempt one before your exam, which will give you an idea and get you prepared. And the main idea of these mock exam is to help you manage time management, which is most important in these dental council exams, which you will even eventually realize when you're giving your clinical exam. The time management is very is the most crucial thing and most critical to pass these exams. So these mock exams will help you for time management, also give you a general idea. And while you're attempting these mock exams, there are a couple of things that you need to take care or keep in mind. Is initially these exams were written, but now it's all these online exams. So what you have to do, remember, is make sure, even if you're giving a mock exam, try giving it online. Even if you cannot make for yourself a timed exam, like with knowing when you have to stop, and if you can't attempt such an online paper, there are ways of making online papers, but probably you will have to look a little bit more what you have to do for that. But yeah, instead you can do something. Even if you're doing the paper on Microsoft Word, what you can do is just make sure that you read the question paper from, like, don't take printouts. Do it online or do it on the system, and make sure that even when you're noting down your answers, you're noting it down on another word sheet and not writing it down in papers. But I'm sure they do provide papers even in the exam center for calculations and stuff like that, but try doing as much as possible on the system and try avoiding using a pen or a paper, so because that will get you acquainted with how things work. And make sure that you don't take intervals. Usually when we are attempting papers at home, you tend to be really relaxed, and you take time in between, your take breaks in between. Try not doing that. Try sitting for 2 hours at a stretch and try finishing that 80 questions in those 2 hours, and make sure that you only leave once you're done. And yeah, so try and finish it, and that way you'll know how much time you're taking. And don't mark anything on the question paper. Yeah, but now since it's a online exam, I don't think that's possible. But yeah, make sure that you uh, do that. And also make sure that you know how things work in the exam, whether you can go back to a previous question if you've already answered it and change your answers, or if it's, if it gets fed in and you can't do anything about it. So make sure you know how that works, because once you know that, then you got to take your enough time and confirm your answer before going to the next one. Yeah, so you can do that, and after you finish the paper, after 2 hours, give yourself a break of 2 hours, and then try and do the next paper as well, because paper 1 and paper 2 will be on a single day, on the first day, and paper 3 and 4 on the next day. So try doing it the same way, and don't give yourself too much break in between, and make sure you don't refer textbooks, notes, and your personal study material and all that in the middle of your test, because that's not possible in the exam. So try keeping that in mind as well. Now coming to the questions, when you're attempting all the questions, make sure you attempt everything. So give equal amount of time to all the questions. Don't sit with one question, and don't be obsessed with that one question and not give enough time for the next question, that because that will not help. Make sure you give enough time for the next question, for each and every question, and equal time distribution between all the questions, so that you don't have to leave the last couple of questions if you don't have time to chance. You don't want to leave that to chance. So do that. That's something that you have to keep in mind.